So you all know us, but I'm Joanne Fish, and this is Isaac Perry. We are co-chairs of the AI subcommittee. And as we go through this, we're going to be talking about multiple AI tools. Please keep in mind that the college has not formally approved any specific tool. And we're also going to be, my policy might get mentioned in here. We do not yet have an official college policy on AI. Our subcommittee is working on that, and so hopefully, our hope and dream is by the end of the school year, we'll have something that the board can vote on. But just wanted you to know that nothing is in place. This is actually geared more towards instruction, so that faculty, thank you, Joe, can learn different ways to use AI, and along with some small discussion on ethics and those sorts of practical things. So, go ahead. So the first question we have is just wanting to know what experience level you all have with AI. So does some or moderate or a lot, would anybody say they have a lot of experience with AI? Olivia, I can't imagine you're not raising your hand with that.
I still would consider myself having a lot.
Okay.
I feel like I know more than I've actually messed around with.
Yeah. What about moderate? Would you all say you have moderate experience? Like, so you've used it sometimes, you think you can help you teaching? Yep. What about those of you who are just going to put yourselves in the some category? All right, well, that should change. So Isaac's going to talk to you about the different types of AI, because he's really good at this.
So for AI literacy, we have generative AI, which creates new content from patterns in training data. So it can write essays, it generates images, composes music, creates code, drafts emails, builds lesson plans. How it works, it learns patterns from billions of examples, and then generates new text, images, and content that follow those patterns. In education, we could use this like ChatGPT or Gemini for brainstorming, using DALL-E or some kind of image generation. We have, everything generates images now, Grok, Gemini. If you're doing something local, you have Stable Diffusion, Comfy UI to run it locally. But you can generate images for visual content. You can use Boodlebox, which we have a slide on. We'll talk more about that later, and maybe even showcase it a little bit. But we could use Boodlebox for course design support. Then we have predictive AI, which within the name, it predicts, or forecasts future outcomes based on historical patterns in data. So what it does is it could predict students that could drop out based on historical data, forecast enrollment trends, identify high-risk learners before they fail. How it works is it would analyze past data, student grades, attendance, and demographics engagement to identify patterns and predict future behavior.
Go ahead.
Quick,
I have seen, and don't ask me the name of it because I can't remember, but recently I've seen a tool that can use, like, even how students are performing in classes, like in the middle of a semester, as to, predicting how they'll do in the future, not just in that class, but in college. So it's really come a long way from just feeding it numbers to really looking at all types of information. So it's just, all of this has just come so far.
Yeah, so in education for predictive AI, we could do something like early alert systems, retention modeling, and course demand forecasting. Assistive AI, it helps humans perform tasks efficiently, enhances human capability. So it could be used to summarize documents, transcribe meetings, organize data, suggest edits, and recommend next steps. So how it would work is it augments human decision-making, performs routine tasks, so humans focus on the judgment, creativity, and relationships. In education, we could use it for grading assistance, flagging similar essays for plagiarism check, note-taking support, accessibility tools, captions, and transcription.
What is the program we use for note-taking?
Jamless.
Jamworks,
I
yeah.
couldn't remember the name of it.
Conversational AI. And so that would engage back and forth in dialogue, answer questions, and guide thinking. Real good to bounce ideas off of, brainstorm when you're trying to build something out. So it could respond to, what it does would be responding to your questions, explaining concepts, providing coaching, and engaging in dialogue. How it works is it understands context from previous messages, so your chat history that you've built up with it. It responds conversationally rather than a one-time lookup.
So later, we're going to talk about something called School AI, which is a free program that I have used, and it could be considered conversational AI.
And then in education, we could use a large language model for tutoring, ChatGPT or Gemini, conversational learning bots, study partners for students. And finally, we have agentic or autonomous AI that acts independently to accomplish multi-step goals within minimal human oversight. I've used some agentic AI in program and app development. Engaging with it and prompting with it and building out a plan, I can then make it, build a complete solution, front end to back end. The database functions, the repository that it gets the data from, the API call, the application programmable interface, and then it will return the database variables that I would want to show on the front end. It's not perfect, but it's pretty phenomenal that it can do something basic all the way through with minimal error. Now you get more complex, there's a lot of human oversight that's needed, but it's pretty fascinating, to say the least. So what it does, completes entire workflows without human intervention, schedules meetings, processes applications, manages inventory, executes trades. How it works is it would break complex goals into steps, make decision, take action, and adapts based on feedback, all without human approval between these steps. In education, we could do automated student onboarding workflows, administrative process automation, and institutional data integration. This is just kind of like a chart here, a type, the generative, predictive, assistive, conversational, agentic, a core function, and an example of what the type would do. So I'm not going to read through all that, but it's just a visual for you. You want to go?
Okay, yeah. So when we're talking about generative AI, there's different levels, and we usually talk about it being like 3 different levels. And we have a basic level, which is just being able to do something like rewriting content or outlining summaries. We actually use this kind of level. So we're part of this AI Fellows group, and one of the things that we both have to do is a project at the end of kind of like a capstone project. So we took, and you guys heard this morning probably about this AI grant, which we did not get, by the way, the federal AI grant that we worked on. So we took the narrative from that grant and put it into, what you put it into, Claude?
Yeah, Perplexity.
Perplexity. So Perplexity, which is one of the AI tools, and ask it to create like a white paper, like a one-page executive summary for us. And then we'll take that and work from it from there. That's what we were asked to do with it. So those kinds of things, it does really nice work with that type of thing. Anytime you Google now, you get like the AI response. That's kind of what this is doing. You can help it with tone shifts. I know some people use it who tend to send, like maybe they have their emails are sending and they have been told, man, your emails really sound harsh. They can use it to, change the tone of their emails. It'll create simple images, those do explanations or even translations. So one way that faculty or instructors can use it is to help their syllabi become more accessible. And that's kind of what I think JamWorks can do. No, it just does the note taking. So one thing, if you have people, or even in the library, if you have work or documents or your syllabi even, that maybe you have students in your class who struggle in some way, you can prompt, and you can do this with School AI that I'm going to show you, you can prompt a tool to simplify that for students who need help with those kinds of things. It'll create those reference check summaries. It can shift your tones and those sorts of things. So here's a prompt that could be used. So for instance, if I did a syllabus, rewrite the syllabus in clear student-friendly language, you want to give it what we call a constraint, which is, who is this for? Include an encouraging tone that emphasizes support and growth. Create a one-page summary of the top 5 most important policies. So, and then you hand it, and then you paste in your syllabus. So that's one way to use it. You can do that same kind of thing with assignments. You can do it with, say, students need to read like a really lengthy, dense document. You can prompt it to do things like that. I would need this if I were going to take math or accounting. I would need help with something like that. People think I joke about that, but I really don't. I just have a block. And so I have actually gone to AI and said, hey, I need to figure out this type of thing, and not knowing what the formula is. And it'll not only give me, I've used Perplexity for this, it'll not only give me the answer, but it'll tell me exactly how to figure it out, what the formula is that I could use for next time. Now, if I'm an instructor and I want a student to be able to use something like this, I can say, help students in this way. Do not give them the answer, but walk them through how to figure out the formula, or walk them through how to figure out the answer. So there's all kinds of ways that you can set it up. The next level is what they call intermediate. This is more like curriculum design or planning. The intermediate level connects steps. It makes those connections. So it'll use multimodal reasoning. In other words, it can use an image, it can use audio, it can use text. It can go back on. Perplexity is great at this, by the way, and we can show you this if we have time to show Boodlebox. But because Perplexity is part of it. But it'll go back into previous information that you've given it, or previous chats that you've had with it. Just today I did something and it was like, based on your wish to do X, Y, and Z, which I had entered into it weeks ago. And so it saves all of that. So an example of a prompt here is, hey, I'm redesigning my XYZ class. Here's what I have. Give them the course description. Here are my learning outcomes. Here's some themes and topics I'll typically cover. Here are the types of assignments I currently use. Create a 15-week course structure that does all of these things. So what I really like about this kind of thing is you can give it, let's say, your course learning objectives, that we know we can't change course learning objectives necessarily, but you can give it the course learning objectives and say, here are the assignments I've been using. I want to come up with some new, fresh, creative assignments that allow AI to be used to support. Because I think a lot of us struggle with, how do we use AI to support students and support assignments without actually answering questions for students? This level will do that for you.
Okay, so this is level 3 advanced. It's a more technical level. This would be for systems and workflows, app creation, automation, video creation, logic frameworks, and cross-platform integrations. So we in IT are starting to dabble more into this. We're working on a document imaging software. Currently we use Perceptive, but we're working on using AI to scan specific fields that we point out on a blueprint, and it will grab those fields and insert them into a database table, and then we can pull that form up so we can view and store documents. So we're starting to use AI and integrate it with our application development and create workflows and systems with it. So, this is like the task here for this. College wants to understand student success patterns across all programs and make data-driven decisions about curriculum and support. So, AI can integrate data from a learning management system, database, and registration systems. It can analyze patterns in student success across demographics, programs, and courses. It can create predictive models for at-risk students. There's a lot that it can do. This is just a more advanced, level of AI. Using Banner, we're integrating with APIs to pull it in to show on our front end apps. So there's a lot of stuff in our department specifically that we're still trying to understand and learn at this higher technological level here with it. But I think that we're going to continue to build on it. So it's pretty fascinating. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
I'll let you go.
So when we think about using AI like pedagogically and from an instructional perspective, if you've ever been in education very long, you know about Bloom's taxonomy. Well, there is a Bloom's AI framework, and I just wanted to share the triangle or the pyramid with you, but if you go to the next slide. So there are different ways to actually do this all the way from the bottom, remembering on up. And so like a human-led remembering is when we just come up with quizzes like in exams, and we want students to just give us facts, right? Or give us what they remember. You can AI support this with recorded lecturing. They could take a lecture or an outline and it can create like a podcast if somebody learns better auditorily. This is the VARP learning style system, by the way, visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic. So I use these icons to represent those. So like if you do a recorded lecture, that is visual and auditorial, right? If you do something like flashcards that are automatic, that's more of a kinesthetic thing. If you go up to understanding, then AI can support that through different things. We've all heard of Quizlet, right? GPT, mind mapping. Has anybody ever used mind mapping in the work that they do? I love mind mapping. I think it's very, very intuitive. It has helped me through a grad class or two. And then even like the feedback generator, this is one of the things that handy auditory with school AI that I mentioned. You can talk into it, but I just do typing because that's what I like to do, but you can do either way. And then actually applying it. That's where we have those simulations that come into place, the different feedbacks, concept mapping, having to like actually apply the knowledge. And then moving on up the pyramid, if we're analyzing, AI can help create customized case studies. So you could feed into it, I have these learning objectives, I have these students, and I always tell like school AI, I'm working with community college students in a rural Midwest community who, depending on the class, like the class I taught last semester was the Reading 090, which was the foundational reading. So I talked about what that was, and then talked about, who my students were. If you want to help a specific student, you could, for instance, say, this student is heavily involved in the fine arts, or this student is earning a degree in astronomy, or whatever. So it would actually feed into their interest if you gave it that information. Or you could just do it as a whole class. And then evaluating, that's where you could use it as a grading assistant. I played around with this one time. I wasn't real thrilled with it, but just mostly because I felt, I think, guilty having something else grade these things I was supposed to be looking at. But it could summarize, and I'm going to show you in a little bit how school AI will actually summarize students' understanding for you. So that's very helpful. It could do like interactive debates with your students, even though maybe they're virtual, maybe they're not on campus, and you want them to have a debate, that sort of thing. And then, of course, creating. It can help with image creating. It can help with building bots. And so it depends on just where you want to go, right? So this is one of several visuals that I'm going to send to Olivia to put in the LibGuides. These are common use, open use, as long as they're used for educational purposes. But this one talks about classroom policy, and I know you can't read the text on it, but it kind of talks about just how important it is to have a clear policy that fosters accountability, shared responsibility, even creating like collaboration with your students. You might be in a class where, this would be great for one of the education classes, by the way, Jan. You might be in a class where you want students to help create your classroom AI policy and collaborate on it, and that could create, you know, that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that sense of ownership, and students can help with that. You can talk about how your policy develops digital literacy and critical thinking. I think it's super important that anytime we talk to students about using AI, that we talk about critical thinking right along with it. And then promoting equity, that's the huge piece of it. So one thing that this chart talked about that I really hadn't honestly thought about it in depth. I always think about equity, and I always think about what students have access to. But, you know, especially, and I've been told this many times, especially in Jefferson County, some of our students don't have access to the even high-speed internet, you know, to the technology that we assume everybody has access to. So if you have an AI classroom policy and you say, hey, you know, you can use this, and this AI on this assignment, keep in mind that potentially not every student has access to that, especially if it's a virtual class, an online class, and not an on-campus class. So just keep those kinds of things in mind as you're creating your policy. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Some of the core ethics that we as a subcommittee have been talking about when we're talking about our policy creation are things like, you know, using AI to enhance student learning and engagement while avoiding harm. We want to make sure we're doing good, we're not doing harm. Respect for people, make sure whatever we're doing is student-centered and not necessarily just black and white policy. Keep those students in the forefront. Avoid using AIs in ways that collect any kind of personal information, because remember, it's just like we used to say to kids, anything you put on social media is there forever. Well, anything you ask AI is out there forever. So keep that in mind. And then we want to be sure that we're ensuring AI resources are accessible to all the students. If you say to students, hey, Perplexity is a great AI tool, feel free to use it. Well, Perplexity costs money. It may be free. You might be able to get in on a deal where it's free for a little while. It may be cheaper for students, but not everybody has money unless, if we have our way, the college will you know, purchase an enterprise license to something like Boodlebox, which includes Perplexity, or Perplexity itself, or one of the tools that we as a subcommittee decide that is good for the college. So just keep in mind that we may have it on campus, or even if we do decide that, we got to decide, well, are we going to allow students to log into MyJeffco and then have access to it? Or is this something they can only go to the library to use? So all of those things have to be considered. Okay, go to the next one. So in our classrooms, this is just a visual. People can do whatever they want, but students understand visuals, right? So you could say, hey, for this assignment, this is a red light assignment. That means that AI tools are not allowed for ifs at all in this assignment. So maybe you and your class, you're okay with using AI sometimes. You're okay with certain instances or certain tools, but there is an assignment where you need them to start from scratch and have that basic foundation without using AI. That's a red light assignment. The yellow light assignment is, okay, you may be allowed to use some AI, but we need to have a conversation. You have to get permission from me before you can use it and tell me how you want to use it. Or it's a green light, meaning you're encouraging AI tools on the assignment, but always make sure you talk about what exactly you're allowing them to use. Oh gosh, it's almost 4 o'clock. Oh, we have till 4:30. I was like, oh, we're out of time. Isaac's going to talk a little bit about Boodlebox.
Okay. So Boodlebox, so we're in this League for Innovation AI leadership course, and we were introduced to Boodlebox, which some benefits of Boodlebox. Well, first off, it is a secure institutional AI platform. It integrates multiple premium AI models. So instead of just paying for a Gemini subscription and you just using Gemini and their models, Boodlebox incorporates and integrates ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Llama, Perplexity, etc. It also does image generation. It's a one controlled space design specifically for educational institutions, and it's designed to encourage human AI collaboration, not automation. So some key educational benefits is you have multiple AI models in one place. Faculty and students across diverse AI perspectives without managing separate subscriptions. There's faculty oversight and monitoring, so transparent visibility into student AI interactions without separate logins. It's a true collaboration design. It's a platform that actively discourages automation while promoting critical thinking and human decision making. It's cost-effective token reduction. So up to 96% of token reduction technology dramatically lowers AI costs.
Does
And in
anybody know what a token is?
tokenization, yeah, okay. So this is pretty big for those people that feel like AI, impacts, the environment. So using this, it lowers AI costs and environmental impact. There's knowledgeable sharing and documentation. Group chats, you can invite people to join in on your chat to collaborate. You can share documents in searchable archives and support learning communities. So a big piece of this is FERPA compliant. It's SOC 2 Type 2 certified, HIPAA compliant. And what I like the most about it is zero training on user data. So anything you use, they say, will not be used to train any of their large language models, which is big in the AI sphere. And then another interesting piece is anonymization protection, meaning that before your prompt reaches the model for it to be, processed, there's anonymization that takes place. So it doesn't, even though you're logged in, it doesn't know who's sending that. There's no personal data there that's carrying that. So, and then there's also no third-party access. It prohibits third parties from using your data to train their models. So we're gonna, if we have time at the end, we're gonna showcase this and just click through it and show it. Maybe run a few, prompts or something. But okay, you wanna do this one or you want me to do it?
You can start
Okay.
with it.
All right, so prompting methods. We're going to go into a little bit of prompt engineering methodology here. So prompting, structured ways to ask AI models to give instructions. Different techniques guide AI to produce better outputs. Key to unlocking AI's potential in teaching and research. This applies through all large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc. So the success with AI tools really hinges on fundamental skill like asking the right question, being detailed, collaborating with it, all of that kind of stuff. So AI systems need clear, structured instructions to deliver meaningful results. So what we're going to go through, hopefully, we're going to go through a few prompt methods, and hopefully that'll help you as you use AI more. First one, zero-shot prompting. So this is pretty cut and clear. This is just kind of a question, a string, if you will, that you're just asking, the large language model. So it's good because it's a quick task, no needed examples. It's best for administrative questions, simple information gathering. You ask it, how it works is you would ask it just a direct question or request. It processes it based on existing knowledge. Some models can query the internet and pull down data like Perplexity and it'll reference it. It's pretty fascinating. And you'll receive an immediate response. When to use it. Quick administrative queries, summarize the main challenges in online assessments. General information gathering, what are the latest trends in competency-based education? Simple document drafting, straightforward synthesis tasks. So the strengths to this method, it's fast, no preparation required, leverages AI's broad knowledge base. Limitation may lack institutional specific formatting and might need refinement. Few shot prompting. So this is, it's consistency with subtle variation. It's best used for course descriptions, evaluation templates, and nuanced communications. So how it works is you would provide 2 to 5 diverse examples showing patterns of what you're trying to achieve, variations. You want to clearly state your new task. Receive responses that match your institutional patterns while addressing new contexts. And when you would use this in the educational spectrum here would be for course catalog designs, showing a variety while maintaining institutional voice, faculty evaluation templates, consistent criteria with role-specific variations, standard communications with nuance, so emails that vary by context but maintain a tone, and then assessment feedback that's consistent but adapted to discipline. The strengths of this prompting method would be improved accuracy, greater consistency, customized outputs based on your examples, and they can match institutional preferences. Limitations requires more preparation time. You'd need 2 to 5 good examples, and it takes longer to kind of set up to get your feedback. So let's go to the next one. You want to do chain of thought?
Yeah, so chain of thought prompting gives you kind of, you're asking for step by step. So for example, how do I redesign my course for commuter students? And then you want to ask different types of steps. So what are the barriers for those students? Which barriers impact success the most? So it's making those, you're helping it make those connections between, so you can get to where you want to be. For each barrier, what course redesigns could help. So you're taking an idea, well, let's say we want to be able to offer AI to our students, but we know everybody doesn't have AI. So, think about some of the pieces that we might want to connect to that prompt in order to get the best response, in order to help us create that policy or establish a way to do that. So that's just an example of that.
Role and persona prompting, I've used this as well. You kind of want to prep the large language model as what you're trying to get. So, saying you're an experienced English composition instructor. Before beginning to prompt it to ask you questions, it can adapt that persona and that role and try to better assist you. This has been a known, proven tactic that people use. It's been discussed in our course. When you kind of set the tone and the reason for what you want out of the prompt, out of the large language model, it definitely, follows that. So
Yeah, and I use this a lot when I use school AI. So I tell it who my class is, what students they're working with, what they need, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So when you clearly assign a role, you add context about your setting, ask for the output that you need in that role's typical tone, focus, and level of detail. This would be good for designing rubrics, assignments, generating feedback that sounds like a supportive instructor or advisor, drafting communications in a particular institutional voice, like a dean or program coordinator, gaining multiple viewpoints on the same issue. Strengths here would be tailors responses to a professional lens, helps match institutional tone, surfaces considerations that specific roles would naturally emphasize, like equity, workload, accreditation. Limitations is this persona can still overgeneralize. It may sound confident, but not fully aligned with your actual policies or culture. Always review. Yes. Go on. Constrained prompting, I think this was one you said you used a lot. You want to?
Yeah, so this is where you want to say, do this, don't do this, right? So you're going to set boundaries for it. So for example, the example given here, list 3 debate topics for political science class. Topics should be debatable, related to local policy, be suitable for this particular time period. You could say also things like, especially given today's climate, things like do not include these topics, or include topics that 19 to 25-year-olds could relate to. So you're really giving it like a boundary. This is, again, School AI is great to work with this kind of a thing. So I tend to use this a lot. And these are things I think that the better we get at prompting, we do all the time. It's just this is given name.
Yeah, given names to it. We may not know exactly how we're using it, and this kind of identifies, I am using it this way. Iterative refinement. So this is really for getting from almost right to this is exactly what I need. So refining maybe previous prompt outputs, or something that you're working on. So you would start with like a simple baseline prompt to get a draft, and then you would review that output, maybe incorporate or add in, write, some more institutional, information to that, adding to it. Then you could give targeted follow-up instructions to maybe tighten it up or simplify it, shift the tone. And then you can repeat it in short cycles with the prompt until you can refine it enough to get it to your desired product.
Can I give an example?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a non-college example, but it just made me think of this thing. So I'm working on a children's book. I'm not an artist, but I know what kind of art I would like to see in the book, right? So I also wanted the book to be about my granddaughter. And so I uploaded to, I can't remember, I think it might have been Gemini's, just some image creator. I uploaded a picture of my granddaughter and I said, I want this scene created in storybook-like fashion, right? It would show me a picture and then it would not be quite what I was thinking about, so I was like, okay, make her hair curly. And then, okay, it would come back with her parents, and I wanted the parents to look like her parents, so I gave it further instruction. I didn't have to go back and start from scratch every time. I could just give it this iterative prompting based on what it gave me. But one of the things that I discovered in doing this, and this is a limitation, is that the more I worked with it, it started veering off into giving me things that were completely different from what we started with. So I looked up why that was happening, and without being technical, because I can't remember the exact technical terms it used, basically it seemed like it was getting clogged up. Like the memory was getting clogged up, it was too much. So I went back and I started a fresh thread, and then it started working better. So just keep that kind of thing in mind. The more times that you give it a fix or a tweak, it could start to go awry. So you kind of have to sometimes start a fresh thread when you're doing that.
Yeah, it can lead to like a tweaking forever situation where you're
I kept expecting something to come back and say, what do you want from me? But then I remembered it's not human.
Yeah. And then our final prompt engineering method here is contextual prompting. So you provide relevant background and context before requesting an output. This would be for tailoring AI to your real-world situation. It'd be best for discipline-specific tasks, equity work, rural commuter contexts, anything where it depends. So how it works is you would start with who you are, and who your students are, institution type, rural, urban, first-gen, working students, technical access, course level, add the problem or goal in that context, online discussion, engagement, assessment design, support for first-gen students. And then you would ask for the output you want, strategy, syllabus language, activities, communications, policies. When you would want to use this is designing strategies for specific student populations, creating policies or messaging on sensitive topics, adapting generic ideas to your setting, and then anytime generic one-size-fits-all advice that would be risky or unhelpful. Strengths of this method would be producing context-aware outputs that feel tailored to your college instead of generic surfaces, constraints, and opportunities specific to your environment. Supports more equitable and realistic recommendations. Limitations: prompts are longer, they're larger, more effortful to write. If context is incomplete or vague, the AI may still default to generic solutions. You must decide what context is relevant and what's unnecessary. So that's it for our prompting method examples we wanted to go over. So for overall best practices for AI prompts, you want to be specific and clear. You want to avoid vague language. Separate instructions from context with delimiters. Specify desired output and format explicitly, and then test and iterate and refine based on results. That's how faculty can use these techniques.
Joe, you got this? Interesting.
Yeah. Gotcha. So curriculum design, grading, feedback, research, and analysis. Definitely avoid these common pitfalls. So vague prompts without context or examples. Assuming first output is optimal, always iterate. Ignoring security and plagiarism concerns with student use. This is big. Over-relying on AI, in any case, for assessment without human judgment. You definitely don't want to just copy what the prompt says and just go with that. Don't do that. You want to read over it. You want
Because
to
that's
add
what our
to it.
students do.
So yeah, and typically if someone does that, you can tell. I mean, if I just copy a function that AI gave me and I put it in my code, that app's not going to run. It's not going to work. I mean, so I got to refine. I got to iterate. I got to add what I know combined with it. It collaborates with me.
I feel like that's a super important statement to tell students is that, yeah, you can go put this assignment prompt into AI and it's going to give you something, but is it going to give you something that makes sense?
Right.
And do you really want to turn that in? So I really feel like that we need to say that a million times in front of students.
Are you ready?
Yep. Okay, I'm going to talk about school AI. So again, this is a free program that it's, at least so far, it's free to students and instructors. It is FERPA compliant. I would never personally put a student's full name in. I would put like their last name in, but you don't really have to put students' names in at all. The student puts their own name in, and I told my students when I used it not to put their full name in, but some of them still did, but that's okay, because it is FERPA compliant. So what it does is, and I'll show you this here in a second, but you create spaces, and then students can practice these concepts using these AI sidekicks is what it calls them. It'll give you these formative assessments using pulse checks. Now, I have not used this feature in it yet. And also, you can allow it to, you can set up your prompt so that students can say they have a first draft of a writing and they want it help with making it better and you're not always available. If you chose to, you could set up the prompt so that students could upload their first draft and it would give them feedback. I always say, do not answer questions. Do not, and I tell it this, do not answer the questions or do not write anything for the student. Use guided questioning or guidance. So I always tell it how I want it to give the students feedback. And then, but you can use it to draft lesson outlines or activities. It can be exported into Canvas, but I want to point out that it'll actually work with Canvas as like a third party, but I've not talked to Dan or Karen about this. It's not college approved to do this. You can put a link in Canvas and have students go to that link, which I've done before, but to integrate it fully with Canvas, I've not tried that. I've not talked to anybody about getting that approved yet. I just haven't had time. So that's something that I would like to look into more, but I just wanted to point that out. So I want to show you a couple of things that I've done and some feedback, and then if we have time and if you have a desire, we can go to an actual page. So, and then cut part of this off, but that's okay. So this was the actual prompt. So there's multiple places in the space that you get to work in, and this is the actual prompt, which was, I said, you're a tutor that will help students practice the proper use of punctuation, primarily commas, semicolons, dashes, and apostrophes, because that's what we were working on at the time. Create a set of 6 sentences for each of the named punctuation that are either missing punctuation or correctly punctuated. Ask students correct sentences. There's a typo I thought I fixed. If they get it correct, praise them and explain why it's correct. If they get it incorrect, guide their thinking and help them find the correct answer. I should say, do not provide, it actually didn't mind my typos. Do not provide the correct sentence after the first incorrect try. Instead, ask guiding questions. Make the students try at least twice before providing the correct answer. And then there's another place in it which is the student description. So I tell the students, you're going to be working with punctuation. This tutor will guide you through questions about commas, semicolons, dashes, and apostrophes. You will answer questions about how to correct sentences that are presented to you. If you answer incorrectly, the tutor will guide your thinking. So, some of the feedback I got after students did this, and I don't have any student names on here, so that's why you're not seeing any, is this student, I know the student's name, But this student demonstrates understanding of comma usage. This student sharing personal experiences needs focus on assignments. So it's telling me that that's what the student did. Now, one wonderful thing, that is my next slide actually, is you get a script. Actually, that's not my next slide, but you get a script of each student's interaction with School AI. So you know what the prompt was, what the student responded, what the next prompt was, how that student responded, and so forth. So if you wanted to, you could go through and read the entire script. But this also summarizes things for us. Student demonstrates strong understanding of dash, great engagement with sentence structure and punctuation, great start with commas. And so it just gave me that for all the students who used it.
So these are different students.
Pardon me?
Each line represents a student?
Yes,
Or one entire student for
One
that page?
student. No, each line was a different student.
Okay.
So on the screen for School AI, the student's name was over here. I just took a screenshot of this, so yeah. So like Isaac understands using commas. So anyway. Oops. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is the script. So this gave me a script of the whole class. I could click on student 1, like I said, took all the names off. I could click on so-and-so and get that script of that whole student. Or I could get it done by, by time, however I want to read it, I can do it. So student 1, it tells me student used semicolon to join two independent clauses. I'm sorry, this is not the exact script. This just tells me what they did. Student completed the punctuation minigame with correct commas, apostrophe semicolons and dashes showing mastery. Student still occasionally writes lowercase I and NASA for NASA. Student correctly applied semicolons in all 6 practice sentences using them. So it gives you that summary. But again, it'll also give you that total script. So do you guys want to see the page?
No.
I want to use your time appropriately, so let me go back. Okay, this is how it's set up. This is what you call the space hang on, I gotta get my mouse over here. The space creator. So this was my title and prompt. I would give a title and prompt. I didn't do that on this one. It is punctuation practice. This is the prompt that I read to you a minute ago. If I wanted to, I didn't on this one, but if you wanted to, you could add your learning standards, okay? So you could select your state, but these are set up mostly for PK-12. So, but we also have learning objectives, so we could put them in ourselves, okay? I can give it the standards that cover a specific thing. I can give it my description and then the student description. And then I can show you the preview. So this is what it looks like to students. So ready to practice punctuation. I'll give 6 sentences for each, fix each one, pick a punctuation. What punctuation do we want to work on?
Semicolons.
Semicolons. Now, you can talk into it if you don't want to type.
Wait, that is.
Great, and so it's going to give me sentences. So I wanted to go for a walk, it started raining. Let's do this wrong. Put my semicolon there, because I wanted to do it wrong. So it comes back with close try, or close good try. Does the clause after your semicolon stand alone as a complete sentence? If not, where could we break in between 2 independent clauses? Now, what if I don't remember what an independent clause is?
Can't type.
It's going to tell me what an independent clause is. So it's going to work with my students on the level that they're on. if I could have also put in my prompt, if a student gets everything right the first time, create more complexity in the sentence and give them other sentences. I could do this any way I wanted to do it. Yeah, so it's really pretty cool. I can't click to my version because then it would show like what I see after this, because then it would show. But I do want to do, if I create one and I launch the space, because I unlaunched this one, it's going to, where's the share? Oh. Hang on a minute. Somewhere it will give me a link. Oh, I have to tell it to do it first. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I've forgotten how to do that because it's been a minute. But it gives you a link that you can, and a code that you can give to students. Maybe I have to save and launch. Sorry. Anyway, it gives you a link and a code that you give to students. All they do is click on that link, and it takes them to the page that they need to be on, and then they get started immediately. They don't have to log into anything. They don't have to have an account. They don't have to do anything. So what I did the very first time I used this, we were going to have a group discussion over a book that we were reading in class for the first time. And I wanted to prime their brains so that they would actually be in the mood to discuss. So I took one of the discussion prompts and put it in here, gave it a bunch of information, and used some of those writing prompt things that Isaac talked about. And I told my students to go to the computer for 5 minutes, gave them all the link. They clicked on it, and they interacted with it for 5 minutes so that they would start, because I told School AI to be a group discussion facilitator. And, you know, because you give it a role, like the role persona piece. And what I wanted it to do, I told my students, I said, I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is I want to prime your brain. I want you to get ready to have your group discussions. 2, this was brand new. I've not done it before. I want your feedback on what you thought of it. So they all did it. After the 5 minutes was up, before I put them into their groups, I asked them about feedback. And I got mixed feedback, so this is probably going to sound familiar. Some students really liked it. I had students say it helped me think deeper about what I had read. It helped me really think about the characters. Other students said, I don't want to have anything to do with AI. And I think, because we have a student survey out that we're going to relaunch, I think that's probably pretty close to what many of our students say. They are very hesitant, the ones that don't use it to cheat, are very hesitant to really get into it. So if we want to prepare them for the next step in their lives, honestly, we have to teach them at the very least about AI literacy and what is going to help.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, I think at this point, as we see these large corporations invest in all these AI data centers being built, this is not a bubble, as some analysts predicted, that's going to pop. This is, I think, going to stay with us. So I think we need to lean into it. Maybe creating assignments that embrace, you know, AI. You use it, you encourage it. You know, if you type this prompt, what does this model output? You know, and then do a different one. You know, we need to. We're meeting with local employers to see what they want to, you know, out of our students as far as like AI related, what they're using in the workplace, what they want our students to have as far as skills using it. So I know there is some resistance. There's faculty, there's staff, there's students that are against it, but I deeply believe, you know, in our courses that I've took on my own, courses that I'm in, that the college is funded. We need to lean into this. We need to embrace it, and we need to do it, you know, obviously ethically, you know, as best as we can. But
And in a person-centered way.
yeah, human-centric, way. But this is something we need to definitely embrace. So.
Do you guys want to see Boodlebots real quick? We have a couple minutes. Yes. What do you do?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, I guess it's high counts.
Yeah. You just show them the different, maybe type of prompt and show them, maybe type of prompt on one model, show them the different models.
Okay.
Okay, so real quick, Boodlebox, it's gonna be hard for me to do because I'm doing it from side view. Okay, these are some of the models. You want to talk about them?
AI models here. You can click on this right here.
Banana?
No, I
No,
mean,
what am I clicking? Oh, AI model.
and then that'll show, so they're in folders here. We have ChatGPT models, like pop or drop down to ChatGPT. Let's see, up top.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trying to reach sideways.
So and it has different versions of it. You know what they released, 5.1. You can go down to Claude, and that has very, Sonnet, Opus, which I like using Claude, especially for programming. Gemini's, Amazon, NVIDIA, all these different, so this is great, if we, decide to create a AI curriculum of some sort, using this to what does this model do compared to that one? You also have image generation like Nano Banana, and so you can even compare the different generations, identifying the biases, the bias of the model is big, I don't know if you want to do an example of something. There's Perplexity. That's a great
I talked about Perplexity. Let's look at it for a second.
And
So, go ahead.
All right, I was going to say, as she types this prompt, another thing that's great in Boodlebox is it's going to identify some ways at the end of when it's done giving you the output, some ways that you can refine your prompt, some ways that, you can make it better, what you did wrong.
Somebody give me a prompt. My brain's dead. What do you want to know?
Someone thinks something off the top of their head.
Or a topic?
It's hard being put on.
Come on, Dan. Okay, I got one.
Go to my slide and grab one.
No, I can't go
I
to your
got my mind thinking
slide.
about what I want to talk about.
I can't go to your slide
Okay.
because it messed me up.
Okay.
No, yeah, I can, actually. I can. Maybe.
Looking for just any kind of prompt on anything,
Yeah.
ask it to write an argument in favor and why professor is out there guy as a lesson.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. So let's give it some constraints, some guidelines. So, okay, we teach, and it's at now let's tell it what college.
Could be.
Because it will gather information about our county and our region, okay? Some key arguments as to why. What was your Joe?
Professors should, why professors should have done it out here. Give it last.
All right, well, let's start with that.
Then we can copy that same prompt and maybe query another model. See it.
So it's thinking. So when it's doing this, it's asking for information. It's looking for information from the whole area and from the college, and it's really thinking about its search. It's not just giving us like the Google type answer.
And I will say, because I have a subscription to Perplexity, I will say this seems to be slightly slower going through Boodlebox using that model compared to actually using the app Perplexity itself.
I think that's because of its pro. For one
Yeah.
reason, we're using a pro version, and so it goes through more sources. So workforce readiness. So it talks about our strategic planning, shifting from policing to pedagogy, enhancing learning experience. So this is something Isaac and I are actually working on.
Yeah.
Providing 24/7 just-in-time support, increasing faculty capacity, improving accessibility, data-driven instructional insights, and so on. Now, here's the other piece I like about this.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if Claude does this too, but I know Perplexity does, is it will give you guidance on how to write a better prompt.
And I think this is a Boodlebox feature. Not
Yeah.
necess-
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think it's
yeah.
just
I guess you're
model
right, yeah.
specific thing,
Yeah.
right? That's what I was saying is it'll help you refine, give you more ways that you can kind of write something better. So this is a fascinating piece of book.
So it even looked through the fact that we have different tiers of classes.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to do? Oh,
No,
copy the prompt and put it
yeah,
in the.
I wanted to highlight that part because that's Boodlebox's thing. But then you can, copy the prompt and ask another.
So
something else
go down
to
here to
see.
this arrow, put it in Claude or ChatGPT.
Put it in Nano Banana.
That's an image.
I think that
Like, and we could see what it comes out, what
Why not?
happens. Yeah. I have no idea what it'll do because I've never done this, but maybe it'll create a flow chart or something. We are past our time,
Yeah,
but
we can do this last one and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Engineering.
But-
I don't know what this is.
Boodlebox is one of the things
Oh,
that
look.
we're,
Jefferson College AI Innovation Lab.
oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Boodlebox is one of the things that we are actually going to talk to Cabinet. We're going to really promote this to Cabinet because we think that it's worth it.
Yeah.
So, thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed
Like
the
and
show.
share.